The twin suns of Virela 9 were setting behind the silver mountains when Lura crept out from her hiding place. The winds of the desert were sharp that evening, blowing grains of red dust against her thin skin. She pulled her ragged cloak tighter around her shoulders, though it did little to stop the cold. Hunger twisted her stomach again, the same painful feeling she had lived with for many weeks. Once, long ago, Lura had belonged to a proud alien race known as the Virelans. They were tall, with skin that shimmered faintly under the suns and eyes that glowed when they felt strong emotions. But that was before the war, before humans came to their planet. Now, Lura was alone. Her people had either fled into the mountains or been taken away by human patrols. She had no home, no family, and almost no hope. Every day, she searched the garbage pits outside the human settlement, hoping to find a few scraps of food. The humans called her the Desert Ghost. They said she was dangerous, even though she had never hurt anyone. Still, they feared her, and fear always made them cruel. That evening, as she wandered near the metal fences of the colony, the smell of baked bread drifted from a small building. Her body trembled at the scent. Her claws tightened against the sand. She hadn't eaten real food in many days. Through the fence, she could see humans, men and women in work suits, finishing their dinner. There were lights inside their houses, warm and golden. She could almost feel the heat even from far away. Lura crouched low when she saw movement. A small human, perhaps 6 or 7 years old, stepped out from one of the buildings. The girl carried a small glowing lamp in one hand and a half-eaten piece of bread in the other. Her hair was light brown, tied in 2 messy braids, and her eyes were big and curious. Lura froze. The child hadn't seen her yet. The alien could have slipped away, but her body refused to move. Hunger and weakness made her slow. The girl walked closer to the fence, humming softly to herself. Suddenly she stopped. Her eyes widened as she spotted the shadowy figure behind the wire. For a long second, neither moved. The girl didn't scream. She didn't run. She just tilted her head slightly and whispered, "Are you real?" Lura blinked, unsure how to respond. Her voice was rough and dry from lack of water. She finally managed to speak, her words soft and shaky. "Do not fear me. I will not harm you." The girl's eyebrows lifted. "You can talk?" Lura nodded slowly. "Yes, I am Lura." The girl looked around, checking to see if any adults were nearby. Then she stepped closer and pressed her small hand against the fence. "I'm Ella." It had been a long time since anyone had spoken kindly to Lura, longer still since someone had told her their name. "Are you hungry?" Ella asked suddenly, holding out her piece of bread through the fence. Lura stared at it, stunned. She had stolen food before, but never had someone offered it freely. I cannot take that," Lura said, though her body screamed otherwise. "You can," Ella said, smiling. "Mama says everyone needs to eat." "Even the stars need food," she says. The words were so simple, yet they pierced something deep inside Lura. Her throat tightened. She slowly reached out, her thin fingers brushing against the small human hand for a moment. The warmth was shocking, like sunlight touching frozen metal. Lura took the bread gently, almost afraid it would vanish. She ate it slowly, savoring every bite. It was soft, sweet, and full of life. Tears filled her glowing eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Ella giggled. "You talk funny." Lura almost smiled, a small broken curve of her lips. "I have not spoken for a long time." The child nodded as if that explained everything. Then she said, "I can bring you more tomorrow, okay? Mama always makes extra." Lura shook her head. "If your people see you with me, they will be angry." Ella looked thoughtful. "Then I'll be careful." Before Lura could answer, a voice shouted from the distance, "Ella, come inside. It's late." The girl jumped. "Coming, Mama." She turned back quickly and whispered, "Don't go far. I'll come back." Then she ran off into the glowing lights of the human camp, leaving Lura alone again. That night, Lura sat beneath a broken piece of metal that served as her shelter. She looked up at the dark sky, where 2 moons hung low and pale. For the first time in years, she felt something new. Not safety, not yet, but warmth. A human child had spoken to her, not with fear or hate, but with kindness. The next day, Lura waited near the same fence. Her stomach growled, but her heart was lighter. As the suns began to sink again, she saw the small shape of Ella running toward her. The girl carried a small cloth bag and a smile that could have lit the desert. "I told you I'd come back." Ella said proudly, pressing the bag through the fence. Inside were fruits, bread, and a small bottle of water. Laura could barely speak. "Why do you help me?" Ella shrugged. "Because you look lonely. And Papa says lonely people just need a friend." Laura took the bag with trembling hands. "A friend," she repeated softly, almost testing the word. It felt strange and wonderful on her tongue. As she ate, Ella sat cross-legged on the other side of the fence, talking about her school, her pet lizard, and the stories her mother told her before bed. Laura listened in silence, feeling the warmth of the girl's laughter sink deep into her cold heart. When the stars appeared, Ella finally stood up. "I have to go now, but I'll come again tomorrow, okay?" Laura nodded. "Be careful, little one. I will." The girl smiled again, waving as she ran back toward the colony lights. Laura watched her go, her glowing eyes soft. She hadn't realized until that moment that her chest didn't feel as heavy anymore. Maybe humans weren't all cruel. Maybe in the middle of this cold and empty world, one small heart could still shine bright enough to warm another. She whispered to the wind, "Thank you, Ella." And for the first time since her exile, Laura fell asleep with a smile. The next morning, Laura woke early, her body still stiff from sleeping on the hard desert sand. Her glowing eyes scanned the horizon. The twin suns were just beginning to rise, painting the desert in soft shades of orange and pink. Hunger still gnawed at her, but for the first time in a long while it did not feel unbearable. She had something else now: hope. Near the fence, she waited, crouching behind a pile of metal scraps. She didn't have to wait long. Ella came running, carrying her usual small bag of food. She waved excitedly, but then froze when she noticed someone else, a tall human figure standing near the fence watching her. It was Ella's father, Jonas, a kind man who worked as an engineer in the colony. He looked surprised but not angry. Laura tensed immediately, hiding behind a scrap of metal. Her instincts screamed to run, but she could see Ella smiling bravely. "Daddy," Ella said softly, "this is my friend. Her name is Laura." Jonas's eyes widened. "A real alien?" he whispered almost to himself. Laura peeked out cautiously. "I mean no harm," she said. Her voice was gentle, calm. Jonas knelt slowly, keeping his distance. "I can see that," he said. "You're hurt, aren't you?" "Hungry too," Laura nodded. She did not trust easily, but something in Jonas's eyes felt different from the other humans she'd encountered. There was no fear, only curiosity, and maybe kindness. Ella climbed onto the lower rail of the fence and held out the bag of food again. "See, she's hungry." Jonas reached for the bag, glancing at Laura. "It's okay," he said softly. "Let her take it." Laura's claws brushed the bag and she carefully accepted it. The food smelled even better than yesterday: fresh fruit, bread, and some water. She ate quickly, her body trembling slightly from hunger. Ella watched with delight. "You know," Jonas said after a moment, "you're very brave. Most humans would never come near an alien like you." Laura paused, studying him. "Brave or foolish?" she asked quietly. Jonas chuckled softly. "Maybe a little of both. But bravery can be kind, and kindness is stronger than most weapons." Laura's heart fluttered at his words. She had heard humans speak of bravery before, but she had never thought any of it applied to her. Perhaps she could believe in it now. Over the next few days, Laura and Ella met at the fence each evening. Jonas sometimes watched from a distance, learning more about her without intervening. Laura began to tell them her story in small pieces. How she had been exiled, how her family was gone, how she had survived by hiding, scavenging, and being careful. Ella listened silently, her small hands clasped together. "You were so strong," she said after one story. Laura blinked, surprised. "Strong?" she asked. "I was weak. I was hungry. I was alone." Ella shook her head. "No, you survived when no one thought you could. That is strong. That is very strong." For the first time, Laura felt pride instead of shame. She nodded slowly. "Perhaps you are right, little one. But not all humans in the colony were kind like Ella or Jonas." One afternoon, a patrol passed near the fence. Laura froze as their boots crunched on the desert sand. She ducked low behind her hiding spot. She could hear their radios crackling. "Keep your eyes open," one soldier said. "We've had reports of alien movement near the eastern perimeter. Don't let anything slip by." Laura's stomach tightened. If they found her, she might be captured or worse. She wished she could flee, but the patrol was too close. Ella appeared suddenly holding a small lamp. She crouched beside Lura, whispering, "It's okay. I'll distract them." "How?" Lura asked, shocked. Ella smiled, mischievous and brave. "Just watch." The girl ran toward the patrol, waving her arms. "Hey, over here," she called. The soldiers stopped, surprised by the small human in the desert. Lura's heart pounded. She wanted to run, but Ella's voice reminded her that she wasn't alone anymore. The patrol moved toward Ella, curious. She kept waving and pointing to the other side, making them follow her. Lura slipped quietly into a shadowy corner and hid until the patrol left. After they were gone, Lura exhaled slowly. "You risked your safety for me," she said, awe in her voice. Ella shrugged. "You are my friend. Friends help each other." Lura's glowing eyes filled with tears. She had never known friendship like this. Humans had always seemed frightening, unpredictable. But this small human girl, so fragile, so full of courage, had shown her something new. One evening, Jonas approached Lura cautiously. "I've been studying your biology," he said. "I don't fully understand it yet, but you are remarkable. Your body can absorb certain energy waves from the sun. If we could understand this, it might help the colony survive during storms or power shortages." Lura blinked. "Energy waves?" she asked. "Yes," Jonas said. "You could help many people. But only if you trust us." Lura considered it. Trust was difficult. Betrayal had always followed her. But Ella's bright, trusting eyes reminded her that maybe humans were capable of more than fear and cruelty. "I will help," she finally said. "If it can protect others." Jonas smiled softly. "Then we will protect you in return. You are not alone anymore." Lura felt a warmth that she had not felt in years. For the first time since her exile, she believed she belonged somewhere. Perhaps humans weren't the monsters she had been told about. Perhaps there was hope for coexistence and friendship, but the colony was still cautious. Other humans noticed unusual activity near the fence and began whispering rumors. Some were frightened, imagining an alien spy or a threat to their safety. The patrols increased at night, and Lura realized that the world outside Ella's small kindness could be dangerous. She began preparing. Not to fight, but to survive. She learned the patrol patterns, how to move silently, and how to hide even better than before. Ella often waited for her in the evenings, offering encouragement and small meals. "You're learning fast," Ella said one night. "I must," Lura replied. "If I am to stay, I cannot be weak," Ella smiled. "You're not weak. You're my friend." The word struck deep. Lura had been hungry for food, for safety. But more than anything, she was hungry for connection. That small phrase, repeated so simply, filled the emptiness she had carried for years. For the first time, Lura believed that she could be more than an outcast. She could be strong, kind, and part of something bigger than herself. The twin suns set behind the mountains again, painting the desert with golden light. Lura crouched beside Ella, feeling the warmth of her small human friend. For the first time, the world didn't feel cold. It felt full of possibilities. Somewhere deep inside, Lura knew that change was coming. She could sense it, not from fear, but from the hope that a single child had given her. And that hope, she realized, could be more powerful than anything she had known in exile. The twin suns rose slowly over the desert of Virella 9, painting the world in soft shades of orange and gold. The colony was waking up, the hum of engines and the chatter of humans filling the air. Lura crouched near the fence, her eyes glowing faintly as she watched the small human settlement. It had been weeks since she had first met Ella, and in that time, she had learned much about humans. Not all were kind, she knew, but some, like Ella and her father Jonas, were capable of courage and compassion that she had never imagined. Today, however, the colony faced a new challenge. The engineers had detected a problem in the reactor, the machine that powered the entire settlement. A core shield was failing, and if it was not repaired, energy from the reactor could escape, damaging equipment and endangering lives. Jonas spoke to the other engineers nervously. "The radiation levels are rising too fast. No human can approach the core safely." The colony panicked. Lights flickered, alarms buzzed, and soldiers moved quickly to protect the people. Lura, watching from the shadows, felt a strange mix of fear and determination. She knew that she could help. Her alien biology had a unique ability. Her body could absorb certain types of energy that humans could not survive. She could stabilize the reactor if only she dared, but fear whispered in her mind. What if humans misunderstood her? What if they tried to harm her? She thought of Ella's small, trusting face, the girl who had shared bread with her, who had believed in her when no one else would. Lura's chest tightened. She could not fail, not now, not when so many depended on her. As the humans prepared safety barriers, Lura stepped forward. Her glowing body reflected the morning light and soldiers froze, unsure whether to attack or retreat. Jonas stepped toward her quickly, holding his hands up. "Wait," he called. "She is trying to help." Lura moved swiftly past the fences and entered the reactor chamber. The heat was intense and the radiation hum vibrated in her body, but she ignored the discomfort. She positioned herself at the core, her skin beginning to glow brighter with absorbed energy. She could feel the reactor stabilizing, the dangerous energy flowing into her body instead of escaping into the colony. Outside, humans watched in awe. Even the soldiers who had been wary of her for weeks now stepped back and allowed her to work. The engineer shouted instructions, guiding her gently. "You're doing it," Jonas called. "Keep it steady." Lura gritted her teeth, focusing every thought on the reactor. Her body ached, but she remembered Ella's words. "You're my friend." She imagined the child smiling at her, trusting her to do what was right. The thought filled her with strength she had never known. Minutes passed like hours, and finally the hum of the reactor softened. The warning lights dimmed. The core was stable. Lura's body, exhausted but glowing faintly, began to weaken. She had given everything she could, yet she had succeeded. Jonas and a few engineers rushed to her side. "Are you all right?" he asked, helping her to sit. Lura nodded weakly. I'm fine." Her voice was soft, tired, but calm. "The reactor is safe." Ella ran into the chamber, her small feet barely making a sound on the metal floor. "Lura, you did it!" she exclaimed, throwing her arms around the alien's shoulders. Lura blinked, surprised, then smiled gently. "I did it?" "Thanks to you." Ella giggled. "I didn't do much." "You did more than you know," Lura said. "You showed me kindness when no one else would. That courage gave me strength. And today that strength saved many." Humans in the room watched in amazement. Soldiers, engineers, and citizens alike realized that the alien they had feared could also be a protector, a friend, and a hero. The colony leaders approached cautiously, their expressions a mix of respect and disbelief. "We owe you our lives," one said. "You are extraordinary," Lura shook her head. "I am not extraordinary alone. I only succeeded because a child believed in me. That is the true courage here." In the following days, the colony changed. Humans began to see aliens not as monsters but as potential friends and allies. Lura, once an outcast hiding in the desert, became a respected figure in the settlement. She was still careful, still wary of those who might fear her, but she no longer felt the emptiness that had haunted her for years. Every evening, Ella came to visit and Lura taught her about her world, her species, and the strange glowing energy that her body could absorb. The girl listened with wide eyes, fascinated and excited. One night, as the twin moons rose high above the desert, Ella asked softly, "Will you stay here with us forever?" Lura smiled, her glowing skin reflecting the pale moonlight. "I will stay as long as you need me. You have given me a home, Ella. You and your people have shown me kindness I thought was lost." Ella hugged her tightly. "We're lucky to have you too." Lura's eyes shimmered with tears, and for the first time in her life she felt fully understood. She realized that humans were capable of courage, hope, and friendship, qualities that made them remarkable. And in that moment, she understood something deeper, no matter how small. One kind heart could change another forever. One simple act of trust and compassion could create bonds stronger than fear, stronger than prejudice. As months passed, Lura became a bridge between humans and aliens. She helped engineers understand her unique abilities, showing them ways her energy could improve life on Varela 9. She trained carefully, always mindful of her strength and the responsibilities it brought. The colony thrived, their technology safer, their understanding of alien life deeper, and all of this began with a small human child who had offered a piece of bread and a few kind words. One evening, Lura and Ella sat beneath the stars, the desert quiet and calm. "You're my hero," Ella whispered. "No," Lura replied softly. "You are mine. You reminded me that kindness can be stronger than fear." And love can be stronger than loneliness. That is what saved the colony. And my heart, Ella smiled sleepily. Then we saved each other. Lura nodded, looking up at the twin moons. She had been hungry, alone, and feared. But now she was full not just of food but of hope, friendship, and purpose. The outcast alien had found a family in humans, and the humans had discovered something extraordinary. That courage, kindness, and simple words from a small heart could melt even the hardest of walls and bring light to the darkest places.